Satnam everyone, welcome back to the Aquarian Shift. My name is Jason Diltz, also known as Teg Akaldeep, and in this video I am going to talk about the relationship that we have with the planets on our physical body and in our daily life. Yes, the planets of the solar system, all 9 of them, are physically present and etherically present in our life. And I'm going to go through each of those planets, talk about the energy and the evolutionary intent behind those planets, and then I'm going to talk about where on your body you can tap into that planetary energy. And I'm doing this video on January 27th, 2 days ago on Saturday, January 25th, we had a really interesting event where in the sky, 7 planets came into alignment. We had Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune all aligned. It got a lot of buzz on the internet. And we did, as we always do in Kundalini Yoga, a very deep meditation practice that day, because when we have these kind of cosmic alignments, there's just more energy available to us to tap into, and we took advantage of that opportunity. And one of the things that came to me while I was in that class is that, we have these teachings about different parts on your body, different places on your hand relating to the planetary energies, and it's not that commonly known. And I just thought it would be a good thing to make a video and put that information out there so that the next time we have issues with communication, we can understand that that's a Mercury thing, and oh, this is where we tap into Mercury. So I'm just going to go in order here, starting with the sun. So what does the sun represent? Well, the sun, that's the core essence of our identity, of the soul in any given lifetime. So I was born on August 2nd. My sun sign is Leo. That's how I'm experiencing this life, as a Leo. The sun illustrates the path toward self-actualization in any given life. It's representing creativity. It represents authentic self-expression. And it's where the soul shines its light and develops its vitality. Sun energy can be forceful, masculine energy. And you tap into the sun energy on your body with your ring finger. This is the place where sun energy is stored on your body. And we call this, in Kundalini Yoga, we have a mudra where you can take your thumb, connect it to that ring finger, and we call this Ravi Mudra. So during the day, if you ever just need a little bit of energy and you just need to get a little more force in you, you can just sit quietly, close your eyes, ring finger on thumb, and just like calmly meditate for a few minutes and tap into the sun energy. Visualize the sun, because this ring finger right here, that is your physical connection to the sun. The word Ra, of Rama, is also a mantra that we use that connects you to the sun. Ra is the sun masculine energy. The moon, we have a connection to the moon on our bodies. It's right here. It's the chin. We call this the moon center. This is where your emotions are housed. And so what does the moon symbolize? Well, the moon is your emotional body. It's your subconscious habits. A lot of times it's your past life memories. This reflects the soul's instinctual need for security and for nurturing. And it represents the emotional patterns that we carried into this life. In astrology, we talk about the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon. The south node are the emotional imprints that we carried in from prior lives. The north node is the intention of where we want to go in this life. If you ever hear people talk about the North Star, that's a nod to the north node. And all of the emotional energy is carried right here in the chin. And there are many meditations that you can do in Kundalini Yoga that will focus you on the chin. And you don't have to do any of those meditations actively to get command of your emotions. All you need to do is just very intentionally focus your energy on the chin. If you ever find yourself in an emotional, commotional state and you need to get out of that state and you need to be more just, clear-headed and move through a situation with your emotions not clouding your judgment, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and focus on the chin. Visualize your chin. Do this with your eyes closed. And just start to develop a relationship with this area of the body, because this is where you house your emotions. And of course, we want to be in command of our emotions. We want our emotions to serve us rather than us, being led astray by our emotions. So that's the moon. Then we get into our friend Mercury, who is perpetually in retrograde. Mercury is the planet of the mind, of communication, and of perception. Mercury reflects how the soul learns, processes information, and expresses itself in words and thoughts. It also influences the evolutionary development of the intellect, of the mind, and of your ability to adapt. And Mercury on your body is this little guy. It's the pinky. We call this, when you take the pinky and you put it on your thumb, Buddhi Mudra. Anytime you're doing a meditation with pinky and thumb, it's a communication Mercury-based meditation. On a prior video on this channel, I taught a Mercury retrograde meditation. You don't have to just do this during Mercury retrograde. Anytime you want to have a more deep experience of communication with yourself, you can do that meditation, or any meditations that deal with the pinky finger. Or again, you can just sit in stillness, take your thumb to your pinky, take a deep breath, and focus on this energy. Because anytime you're consciously connecting to this finger, you're tapping into the energy of Mercury, and you're tapping into your unique way of communicating, of expressing, and of experiencing your mind in the perception of this thing we call reality. That takes us to Venus. Venus is the planet of truth and beauty. It's relationships, it's values, it's self-worth. Venus reflects how the soul relates to others and defines what its values are in life. Venus is showing us the evolutionary lessons around love, around harmony, and ultimately around the balance of all of that. And in the body, Venus is represented in two different areas of the hands. So we have a Venus mound, which is this area kind of right underneath the thumb, and it's both hands have a Venus mound. So if you're doing this, you're connecting your Venus mounds. And then the first line that's to the, okay, so this is my thumb, and as I'm going in this direction, there's a line right here. So this would be to the left of my thumb. So the first line past your thumb, that's your Venus line. That's your connection to love, truth, and beauty. And this is the Venus mound. We have this energy right here on our hands that we can tap into. So anytime we need to have a greater experience of truth, of beauty, of tapping into what love means for us, focus on this part of the body. And again, in Kundalini Yoga, we have meditations that relate to this. And I'm going to do a series soon that will go through each of these different planetary energies and teach specific meditations for all this. But in this video, I just kind of wanted to lay out a little bit of overview of each of these planets. So from Venus, we go to Mars. Mars is the thumb. This is the ego. In Kundalini Yoga, we have a meditation where your hands are up at 60 degrees. You can't quite see it because they're lifted so high, but you're sticking your thumbs out while your hands are up at 60 degrees in a V shape. You're doing breath of fire, and we call that ego eradicator because we're tapping into the Mars ego energy. Well, in astrology, Mars symbolizes desire, action, and it's the soul's ability to assert itself. Mars reflects how the soul pursues its evolutionary goals and how it expresses personal willpower and passion. And, at its most elevated, at its best, Mars is taking right action. And oftentimes we get very confused about what that right action is because our ego gets in the way. So it's appropriate that on the body, the thumb is your Mars energy. An ego eradicator, I think, is the most important tool in our kit to really tap into the highest possibility of our Mars energy. And of course, we all need Mars energy. And I do find it interesting that you have the thumb, which is Mars, and then right down here, you have Venus. So you have masculinity, you have femininity. And in each human, there is masculine energy and there is feminine energy. And all of us in every life are just doing a dance to experience both of those energies. Sometimes we need more of one than the other. And I just find that very, very interesting that this is all right here in this little part of the body. Jupiter, giant Jupiter, Gyan Mudra, as we say in Kundalini Yoga. So your index finger is your Jupiter finger, and when you connect it to your thumb, you're in Gyan Mudra. Jupiter is a very important finger in Kundalini Yoga because a lot of the meditations we do use this Jupiter finger, and they connect to that Gyan source. So what is Jupiter? Well, Jupiter is the planet of abundance, it's expansion, it's wisdom, it's beliefs. It reflects the soul's quest for meaning, for truth, higher truth, and higher knowledge. It's a guiding growth through optimism, faith, and learning. Jupiter expands, it grows things. Jupiter is where wealth, Jupiter is where prosperity comes from. So many of the prosperity kriyas that we have in Kundalini Yoga have something to do with activating the Jupiter finger. I do Gyan Chakra Kriya every day. I've been doing this every day for, I think, 5 years. You're taking the Jupiter finger, you're putting it on the tip of the thumb, and you're going over the arc line, earlobe to earlobe. Your arms are up higher than this. I'm just doing this a little bit lower so you can see it, and you're chanting Satanam, Satanam, Waheguru, Waheguru. And this is a prosperity Kriya because it's connecting your Jupiter energy. It's a funny little Jupiter story. Every time I go to the doctor, if I have to mention my hands, I've found myself referring to my pointer finger as my Jupiter finger, and then I get like very weird stares from the doctor, and then I have to be like, oh yeah, that's right, it's called the index finger. Anyways, little aside. So Saturn. Saturn and Jupiter energy often work in tandem or in opposition with each other. Saturn is structure, discipline, karma, restriction. Saturn reflects the soul's evolutionary lesson around responsibility, around boundaries, around maturity. And often Saturn shows up where the soul is tested to build resilience and integrity. Jupiter expands, Saturn constricts. We need both of those energies in our life. One of the best quotes about Saturn as it relates to evolutionary astrology that I've heard is that Saturn is where you said no to God in a prior life. So in this life, you get extra lessons and assignments. Certainly see that in my own chart, having manifested. Saturn is this. This is when you give somebody the middle finger, you're expressing Saturnian energy. Saturn is patience. And when you're doing this, you lack patience. So rather than flipping you off, what we want to do a lot of times in yoga is kriyas where we're actually tapping into that Saturn energy by placing our thumb on the middle finger. So anytime you're having issues around boundaries, around being disciplined, around authority or authority figures in your life, you can tap into that Saturn energy and figure out a way to get more harmonized with that by just quietly sitting with your middle finger touching your thumb and just deep breath, tapping into what that means and what is coming up in your life that you need to understand about Saturn at any given point in time. One meditation that we do in Kundalini Yoga, which I am going to try to film and teach and put out later this week, is the intelligence meditation. And this is a meditation where you're taking the Jupiter finger, the Saturn finger, and you're pulling them apart and bringing them together. And you're actually visualizing yourself in the cosmos moving these two planets. I did this meditation every day for over 4 years, and it really helped get me in a place of sovereignty in terms of how I am able to take in all of the vast, crazy amounts of information that is coming at all of us and synthesize that into what can serve me. And that's energy of Jupiter and Saturn, because Jupiter is the expansion of all of the information and all of the technology and all of the ideas are out there. And then Saturn is the constriction of synthesizing that for what is going to serve you. And of course, what serves me and what serves you may be two very different things. And that's why meditation and the experiences of meditation are so individually unique. So those are the traditional planets, the inner planets. Traditional astrology looked at the sun, it looked at the moon, it looked at Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. That was our understanding of the cosmos until the planet Uranus was discovered in the late 1700s. I believe it was the 1770s, if I'm remembering correctly. So the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, we have relationships with those planets in our daily life. They're just not corporeal relationships. They're not on our physical body. So we don't have a Uranus finger or, a Neptune toe or anything like that. At least not that I'm aware of. If you know of something, though, I would be happy to hear about that and consider that. But those energies are very much at play on different levels. So Uranus, we are now in the age of Aquarius. The sign Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. So we live in Uranian times. Uranus is, while not on our body, it's literally in the time stream around us. It embodies every interaction that we are having. And what is happening right now, me talking to you through a phone, making a video that I'm then going to upload through the internet and you're going to watch on YouTube, that's a very Uranian experience, and it's a very Uranian use of the time and the time stream. So what is Uranus? Well, Uranus is rebellion, it's innovation, it's liberation, it's revolution, it's wake up, shake up energy. Uranus reflects the soul's evolutionary need to break free from outdated patterns and awaken to higher consciousness. Often this happens through sudden or unexpected changes. Jeffrey Wolf Green wrote the book Freedom from the Known, and it's all about Uranus. And freedom from the known, I think it best synthesizes what Uranus is here to teach us. We all came into a life to liberate ourselves and free ourselves from some prior conditioning, or to move past or move through, get over some prior thing that happened to us. And it's the Uranian energy, it's through our relationship with the planet Uranus that actualizes itself. Watch my video about the Uranus opposition, because that's a pivotal time-coded event that every person who reaches their early 40s gets to experience. That's when what you came here to do gets called into question. And the question, did you do it? Are you doing it? Must be answered by the soul. And you'll start to have a lot of sudden and unexpected and often uncomfortable changes happen in your life. We used to call this the midlife crisis. Maybe some people still do. I think we need to rebrand that the Uranus opposition, because that is what it is, and it's an opportunity. It's a cosmic opportunity. So the planet Uranus is extremely important, not just because of the time stream that it embodies with the time that we live in now during the age of Aquarius, but because it's literally a time-coded event that anybody who reaches their 40s is going to have an experience of. Okay. So that takes us to Neptune. Neptune is the connection to spirit. It's the cosmos. Neptune is our psyche. Everything I'm talking about is very Neptunian. Neptune symbolizes spirituality. It symbolizes dreams. It's the disillusion of ego boundaries. Neptune reflects the soul's yearning for unity with the divine. The lessons around illusion, compassion, and surrender are all very Neptunian illusions. Neptune can be escapist, Neptune can be illusory, but ultimately, Neptune is where you actualize the things that you dream about, where you actualize the desires that you have. You tap into that very refined, creative power, and you make it happen. So again, while Neptune is not part of our physical body, the energy of Neptune, anytime we're creating, anytime we're making a dream that we have come into reality, we're tapping into Neptunian energy. There are Neptune Kriyas, by the way, in Kundalini Yoga, and I will teach one at some point. Guru Jagat did some really cool Neptune Kriya classes back in the day, and I barely understood what was going on at the time because this was all new to me, but I had a very deep and profound experience. Anytime you have a greater experience of the cosmos, of understanding source, the universe, God, that is a Neptunian experience. And then finally, Pluto, which is a planet. Sorry, can't cancel it. Yeah, Pluto kind of was the first thing that got canceled, and then everybody else and everything else got canceled after that. Back in 2006, Pluto was downgraded to a minor planet from a major planet. I am not interested in having discussions about astronomy and all of that as it relates to Pluto, because in astrology, we consider Pluto to be a really important force, and so I personally consider it a planet. You can consider it whatever you want. But you can't cancel what Pluto does in your life. So Pluto transformation will happen with any spiritual practice. It's in the doing of the practice. So that's where Pluto shows up in your life. You are going to transform. Your life is going to become different over time, and you're going to have transformative experiences, whether you like it or not. And that's Pluto energy. So Pluto, in terms of what Pluto is, first of all, it's the foundation of evolutionary astrology. When an evolutionary astrologer is looking at a chart, they're starting with the placement of where Pluto is in the natal chart, and then they're going to the nodes of the moon, and then they're going to other aspects, but it starts with Pluto. And that's because Pluto is the planet of transformation, and the whole point of incarnating is to grow, evolve, and transform. Pluto is also power, and it's evolution. It reflects the soul's deep unconscious drive and evolutionary intents. It represents areas where profound metamorphosis and empowerment occur through facing shadows and releasing what isn't serving you anymore. Shadow work, that's a really big topic. Anytime you're doing shadow work, anytime you're confronting shadows, that is Pluto energy. You're moving that energy. So again, just like Uranus, that's the time stream. Just like Neptune, that's the cosmos and your connection to that. Pluto is not necessarily on your physical body, but all the work that you do on yourself, all the growth that you experience in your life. And if you're watching this, you've grown. You're not watching a video like this, you're not surfing around looking for teachings like this if you haven't on some level grown and transformed. And when you've done that, that's Plutonian energy. And we're existing in very Plutonian times right now, because the planet Pluto has entered the sign of Aquarius very recently. And so many things in our society are suddenly changing and being reordered, and the touchstones that we're used to are no longer there, and the guardrails seem to be off. And that's Pluto doing its thing. We're witnessing the ending of a lot of different timelines, and with that comes the end of a lot of ways of relating, or ways of being, or ways of understanding that we all had attachments to. And those attachments, it's not that things end and die, it's that things evolve. So those attachments have to evolve into something new. And Pluto can be very intense. And there's a reason, I don't think that astronomers really canceled it because, of the astrology around it. I'm sure they had scientific reasons for doing it. But one can't help but wonder, on more of a cosmic level, it's like, yeah, we don't want to confront the things that we have to confront to change and to grow and to evolve. So we'd rather just cancel it. We'd rather just like, oh, no, that Pluto's not a planet, it doesn't exist, it's not important. Well, it is important. The whole point of life is to grow and to evolve. And everyone who has grown and evolved can speak to the fact that their life probably got better when the growth and the transformation was allowed to happen, and when we let go of holding on to the stuff that wasn't serving us. And that's the lesson of Pluto. So that is a very short overview of the 9 planets and how they relate to your body or to your physical self existing in this time and space. More to come in terms of practical applications and ways to integrate these with meditations and mantras, etc., into your life. But I wanted to just get this out there because I think right now, with these planets lining up, all this energy coming together, it really opens all of us up to just having a deeper experience of each of these planets in our own life. These aren't just random rocks or formations of gas in the galaxy, in our solar system. These are actual energies that do affect us in our life that we can tap into. So with that, may the longtime sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Until next time, thank you for joining. Sat Nam.